Welcome back to Enamored Risks. Zaina was showing Alex how to take some pictures, so now Alex is taking the pictures. I don't know, whatever. When I start to get the hang of it, I continue to ask questions anyway, just to see that passion flicker in her eyes when she explains it to me. It turns thick, prowling clouds into a storm I wouldn't mind getting caught in the middle of. I proceed to lose myself in that very storm for a moment, and it's the sound of a bird chirping a little song that brings me back to earth. Oh! I turn to the source of the noise. A bird, a sparrow perhaps, perches on the open windowsill. The bird cocks its head at my exclamation, but otherwise stays in place, tittering. It's a small thing, not much bigger than my fist. I definitely have to take a picture. This is my only chance. My hands grip the camera while my feet go on autopilot, slow and careful so as not to scare the bird. Zaina follows just as discreetly. I lift the camera, but I'm all tense muscle. Relax and breathe. Zaina squeezes my shoulders when they finally relax under her ministrations, she wraps her arms around me, hands over mine as she directs the camera to a better angle. Her breath tickles my ear, and I'm feeling warm for completely different reasons than earlier. I try not to focus on how nice it feels to be in her arms. Let's do it together. And 3, 1, 2, 3. I press the button. Click. I glance at Zaina in the corner of my eye, triumphant, but when I do so, I take my attention off of the bird. I hear the bird's alarm at the flash rather than see it. When I turn back, it's to the bird just inches from my face as it flies past. Uh-oh. No. I can't help it. I flail. Through the haze, I can make out the sound of a crash, or something like that, but it's the least of my concerns when I jolt backwards, falling and taking Zaina, whose arms are still on mine, with me. It's maybe halfway through the fall that I remember the weakened floor, but by some stroke of luck, or maybe just Zaina's reflexes, we stop short of falling on the ground. She rights her footing just in time and stabilizes the both of us. My heart is racing. That was close. I can't help but feel like I'm missing something important, and sure enough, my eyes are drawn to the sad heap of something black. No. Something most definitely broken. If my heart was racing before, now it just stops. That must have been the noise I heard earlier. Zaina's camera lies at our feet, in pieces. I'm so sorry, I can't bring myself to look at Zaina. Not when I've ruined what was probably one of her most prized possessions. Not when I've ruined everything. I didn't mean to drop it. I'm sorry. I just got scared by the... That's no excuse. I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. Zaina shushes me, and takes my hands. Hey, look at me. It takes everything within me not to just bolt straight out of there and drive back home. But I owe it to Zaina to do what she asks, even if it's the last thing I want to do. Even if I can't bear to see her look at me with disgust. My discomfort is second to Zaina's loss. With great trepidation, I finally meet her eyes. I steel myself for the fallout. Only to reel back at the genuine relief that floods her face. It's in the way her eyes roam all over me, checking for injuries. It's in the way her lips quiver just the tiniest bit with a sigh before stretching into a small, muted smile. And her hands. They've let go of mine, to gently cup my face, thumbs swiping under my eyes. Forget the camera. I can always buy a new one. There's only one of you. The tears that have gathered in my eyes fall freely now, and when she wipes each one, it's not with any urgency or pressure. She takes her time, just as she wants me to. It's a level of gentleness I've only seen her use with Finn, when she thinks no one is looking. The thought that I've become someone important in her life, like Finn and Paxton, brings more tears to my eyes. Eventually, I take over for Zaina, wiping at my eyes while she presses a kiss to my temple, and by the time Finn and Paxton arrive, I'm all cried out. Still, I appreciate her standing in front of me anyway, blocking the boys' view of me. We heard something. What happened? What happened? Are you guys okay? My eyes accidentally lock with Finn's just above Zaina's head, but he averts his gaze after a beat and says nothing. That's nothing. The sound made it worse than it actually was. Which was? Zaina bends down and picks up what's left of her camera. I try not to linger on the disfigurement this up close, as Zaina would want me not to. I dropped it, that's all. Paxton's face softens with what I think is sympathy, and he squeezes Zaina's shoulder. How unlucky. That's fine. They seem to be taking cues from Zaina, who, by all accounts, looks utterly unfazed rather than upset. We can take pictures on your phone from now on. No big deal. Let's call it a night for now. That's too much excitement for one day. Don't say that. The idiot's gonna get himself hurt just for the heck of it. Huh. My pinky looks mighty breakable to me. Finn! The boys lead the way out, while Zaina stays by my side, lingering behind them a few steps and holding my hand. Her hand always feels like coming home after a long day, and there's nothing I would like more than to hold her hand forever, now especially. When I go to sleep that night, I dream of soft hands and gentle caresses. Aww. The guilt, though it subsided after Zaina consoled me, returns with a vengeance when I don't see her for a couple of days. It eats at me over breakfast, on the drive to school, even during my classes. I relive the moment over and over in flashes, and the sound of the camera hitting the ground haunts my dreams after that night. I don't sleep very well for a while. So long the memories of Zaina's soft touch. However, a free day finds me in my apartment, at my desk, laptop open. I Google best cameras for pictures and intend to spend hours skimming through lists and narrowing down the camera with the best specs. If I were to really buy her a replacement, only the best would suffice for Zaina. Also, I have absolutely no idea what kind of camera the one she owned was. She said mirrorless! Come on, me, we remember this. One look at the prices, however, has my stomach dropping. I didn't realize they were so expensive. I revised my search to best cheap camera for pictures, but even those were outside my budget. Way outside my budget. On the cusp of giving up, I wonder out loud to myself if the cafe Paxton works at is hiring, and for a few moments I actually entertain the thought of working there. But I shake the thought, tempting as it is. Not only would it take me forever to gather enough money, if my parents heard that I was wasting precious study time on a job, they'd have my head for it. Still, it doesn't stop me from asking Paxton how much he makes per hour. Just, in case. It's when I eagerly await Paxton's response that I get texts from Zaina. Bzz. Their text telling me not to worry about the camera. I spare a glance at my laptop screen where a list details the pros and cons for each of the 20 cameras cataloged. A little too late for that. And that it's all fine. She even sends me heart emojis, which I suspect is her way of cheering me up. It works. A little. It doesn't dispel any of the doubt I feel about Zaina's true feelings on the incident, but it does ease some of the weight on my shoulders. Zaina's not ignoring me, at least, so that's a marked improvement from last time. That she even bothered to text me when she could have very easily blocked or ghosted me again means that she hasn't given up on our relationship, and that she's still thinking of me, even after what I did. I expel a shaky breath and once again return to my laptop. Forgiveness isn't going to come easy, from myself at least, but even if she's angry, I'd rather have her angry and in my life than not at all. Paxton gets back to me later, though I don't apply for a job at the cafe. It does motivate me to be more proactive about saving, however. The next 2 days I budget out every purchase. If I don't need it, I don't buy it. It gives me some peace of mind, knowing that while I certainly can't cash out the money for a camera right now, I can chip in and help Zaina out. Maybe it's selfish, doing so to alleviate my guilt, but at the end it's all for one thing, to get Zaina to smile. And not with pity for me like before, either, but a genuinely happy smile. I allow myself to imagine it while I pore over my textbook. The words on the paper blend together into nothingness as I prop my chin up with a hand, thinking of crooked smiles and hints of teeth more blinding than her camera's flash. The images have me in such a vice grip that I almost don't notice the sound of an incoming call. Ring! I mark my place in my textbook, shake my head free of my fantasies, and then reach for my phone. I look at the contact information. It's Zaina. I pick up immediately. Hello? A sharp intake of breath answers me and I straighten in my chair, tempted to take one of my own. That's not a good sign. Zaina's no fan of phone calls as it is, but the few I've had with her have been lighthearted, usually when she was just across the room and wanting to whisper a joke, often at the expense of someone in that room. This is clearly something else altogether. It's Finn. He's... Her voice breaks, though whether it's because she's overwhelmed or just doesn't know what to say, I can't say for certain. Probably both. She gathers herself together quickly, and I can feel the urgency of the situation bleeding through the phone. He's gone off by himself somewhere, and he's hurt real bad. The fact that Zaina doesn't spare any time berating Finn for his action tells me all that I need to know about the situation. There must be no time at all. Do you have the address to the place? Yeah, I'll send it to you right now. All right, I'll meet you there. Is there anything you need me to bring? Your first aid kit, just in case. Cardboard, if you have any. Belts would be useful, too. Cardboard? Belts? My lips pull into a grimace as I put it together. There's really no time to lose, then. If Finn's broken something, then we'd have to hurry, or else he might go into shock, waiting all by himself like that. I'll see you in a bit. Okay. There's a silence on the line, and I almost think she's hung up, but then... Alex? Yeah? Thank you. The call ends this time, and I allow myself a moment to just breathe, knowing I wouldn't have the chance to do so again once I leave my place. No time to lose. I proceed to turn my apartment upside down, looking for the materials Finn needs for his splint. Any remaining thoughts of broken cameras and broken trust begin to slip from my mind as I focus only on Finn and getting to him as fast as possible. When I push against the speed limits as far as I can without getting pulled over, fear is the prevailing emotion that courses through my veins, not the guilt. Normally I would be parking a couple blocks away from the site for insurance, but considering Finn's situation, I park as close as I can to the mansion. I pull up just in front of it and hurry out of my car, splint materials in my arms. It's awkward carrying everything together, and I'm a lot slower because of it, but I don't want to risk a second trip when I don't know how long Finn's been waiting. I've just about reached the door when Zaina arrives. I hear her rather than see her, the motorcycle's engine giving her away. I don't look over to confirm it's her, preoccupied with getting the door open, but she's by my side in a flash, moving with a speed and urgency I've never seen from her before. She takes the cardboard from me, freeing up my hands as we enter together. The sound of my heart thudding loudly in my ears fills the eerie silence. Finn? I'm careful not to yell, as the last thing we need is the police here. I speak in what I think is a good volume for anyone inside to hear me. But only silence answers me, and Zaina and I look at each other, worried. Had Finn passed out? My lips part to try again, only louder this time. But a voice, sounding more bashful than weak, reaches us from upstairs. Up here. Zaina wastes no time climbing up the stairs, 2 at a time, and I follow her, though a little more carefully. I trust Zaina, given how long she's been doing this, but it wouldn't do anyone good if I got myself hurt, too. There's no telling what else could be weak and rotting. I keep an eye on the floors and any holes in them, and after calling for him a few more times, we locate Finn in a pile of what probably used to be part of the 3rd floor. Zaina is on him in an instant. You idiot! Finn's eyes shut in what I think must be relief when a wry smile turns one side of his mouth. Tell me something I don't know. If he's making comments like that, he mustn't be feeling too bad. Still, the way his right leg is bent like that doesn't look good, even if he is lucky to only come away with that after a fall from the 3rd floor. Closing my eyes, I try to recall what I've learned in class. Shock. What are the symptoms of shock? I press a hand against his forehead, while the other checks for his pulse. His skin doesn't feel clammy, and his pulse is a little fast, but not alarmingly so. It's not weak, either. He doesn't seem to be experiencing shock. Zaina, from where she's crouching by Finn's leg, looks relieved. That's good. He's not hurt from anywhere else? No, just scratches, but I'll take care of those right now. Zaina then resumes her inspection of Finn's leg, who hisses when her fingers brush upon a certain spot. I take the opportunity to apply disinfectant to his cuts and scratches while he's distracted. Yeah, that's definitely broken. At least the bone didn't break the skin? That would have been bad news for everybody. There wouldn't be much we could do except call 911 and wait. Alright, come help me with the splint. I take the opposite side of Finn's leg and assist Zaina with the cardboard, which we cut into 2 smaller, rectangular pieces for splinting. While we're positioning the cardboard in place, I catch Finn's eye. This has to be the worst, right? Finn slowly blinks at me, and I'm not sure if it's delirium from the broken leg or just confusion. What? I grab my shoulder to jog his memory of the night he hurt himself with the door. Back then, you said you've gone through worse. Ah, I did. The smile that quirks his lips is a curious mix of something sly yet melancholic, like there's a sad secret he's keeping. This is pretty bad, but... But? What could be worse than this? Quiet, she doesn't understand your sense of humor. But I wasn't joking. Yeah, right. I look at Finn again and almost miss the way his shoulders lightly shake with mirth. He's clearly subdued, as if there was something that still had a tight grip on him, but it seems he's able to joke about it at least. This discovery eases my mind some, and I'm able to devote the rest of my attention to securing the splint with the belt without much worry for Finn's safety. It's when we're putting the last belt on that he speaks again. Thank you. He's looking at both of us, but I feel this is more for Zaina's benefit than mine. I'm glad I called you. Shut up. Zaina just avoids his eyes and finishes securing on the belt. When she's done, she clears her throat. She does this a couple of times. Alright, we're done here. We've done all we can with the leg, but we have to get you to a hospital. Okay. Good. Finn is smart enough not to argue. I can't take you there on my bike, though. Don't want to, but it looks like we'll have to call an ambulance. I blanch at the suggestion. Who would be paying for the ambulance bill? I doubt any of our insurance covers it. Wait, we can take my car. We'll have to carry him down, but... That was a better idea than calling for one and having the police show up too. Finn was technically trespassing. Finn looks between us and shrugs, appearing to as if he accepted his fate either way. I'm fine with whatever Zaina decides. With the decision up to her now, Zaina falls silent. I don't have to know her very well to see the uncertainty on her face. It's in her furrowed brows and her frown. She's not usually this serious if she can help it. But finally she makes up her mind. Zaina bends down to sling one of Finn's arms around her shoulder. She gestures for me to do the same. Help me get him to your car. And you. Up this close. Finn can't avoid Zaina's glare even if he tried. Don't put any weight on your leg if you can help us. If you need us to carry you higher, tell us. Yes, ma'am. Ready? Ready. The tough part was getting Finn to the car, but now that we were confident Finn wasn't in any imminent danger, we could afford to move slower and more carefully. Finn served as our eyes as Zaina and I carefully moved downstairs and out of the mansion as one unit. Once he was in my car, it was all smooth sailing. The hospital staff take him away to the emergency room when we arrive. I reassure Finn we'll be staying through the night if necessary, but he declines vehemently, and says he can call a cab home, so we shouldn't bother. One look at Zaina after he's gone tells me she doesn't like the idea, though. I don't either. I want to make sure he's okay, just as much as Zaina. But as a compromise, I call Paxton during a lull, to tell him what happened. He's as shocked as anyone would be. Fortunately, he's nearing the end of his shift, so he can head over soon. Paxton promises to call when he arrives and that he'll keep us updated on Finn's status. This frees me and Zaina up to go home, and I feel a little less guilty than if we'd just left Finn there alone. Zaina and I gather our things and drive back to the mansion where Zaina left her motorcycle. But Zaina lingers by my car, even as she's out of it. Though I shoot her an inquisitive look, I'm patient, allowing her to take the time to get her bearings straight. It's not often that Zaina's at a loss for words, after all. Do you want to spend the night at my place? That seems like a good place to end this episode. Bye-bye!